Alright guys, welcome to the first video on the advanced illumination system. In this episode, as you can see, we will be setting up the materials and exporting the mesh into Blender, setting up the materials for the headlights so we can actually start using them in game. This episode will not include any blueprinting yet. This is just prepping the mesh and getting it ready for the light system that we have. And this is the preview for it. As you can see, this is how it will look at the end of the episode. And the other videos will be coming out pretty soon. I'm actually working on them as we are speaking. But it would be easier, in my opinion, to make it in different parts. It will make it easier for me for actually making the videos because they're shorter and I can edit them like in parts. And for you guys as well, so you have a natural ending to the episode. Anyway, I quickly want to say before the video starts, thank you so much for the support lately. It is absolutely amazing, and I want to do this for the rest of my life. As of right now, it's way too early to say that, but yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this series. Thank you so much for watching, and yeah, hope you guys enjoy. Hello guys. Welcome to the first episode on this advanced illumination system. In this episode, we will be working on getting the mesh prepped and making the materials for it. The reason it's going to be split up into different parts is because this is quite an advanced setup. It will take a little bit of time, but I promise you it's worth it, as you saw in the preview. In the first episode, this one, like I said, we're going to be prepping the mesh. This will involve a little bit of Blender. If you already know how to separate parts of the car and apply a different material to it, by all means, use your respective software. If you do not know how to do that, don't worry. I will be explaining everything step by step, so you can just follow along. It's really easy to do. If you do not have Blender, I would advise you to probably just stop this video right here, download the software and then get back to me so we can get started. Or if you don't want to do it, then that's also completely fine. There is no other way to do it as of right now to make it look good. So yeah, I'm using a method that involves a little bit of Blender. I have to mention that this is a continuation of the previous episode on the vehicle system. If you guys haven't seen it yet, it's just how to set up vehicles for your game, like this one. And the reason I took this car, because in that episode we made two different cars. The reason I quickly made this one off screen using the same principles, but the reason I did it is because later down the line we'll be adding special vehicles that include turrets, tanks, stuff like that. So that's why I put this car in, so we can continue working on this one with the turret and everything. But yeah, without further ado, let's get started. And the first thing we are going to do is actually go find the mesh that we're using for this vehicle, which is somewhere here. Like I said, if you have a different car, this will work. You just have to do it with that car, but the principle is the same. So the first thing we are going to do is actually go into the asset actions and then press export. And just put it wherever you want. I'm just going to put it on my desktop for now. Next thing we are going to do is actually open up Blender. I'll be back once Blender is fully started up. Alright guys, now Blender is fully opened up. You will be met with this screen if it is your first time. What you can do is just click in any of this area and it will go away. This is the default project that Blender starts you out with, but we don't need the cube and the camera and the light, so we're just going to delete everything in here and also the collection on the top right. Next thing we're going to do is go to File, Import, FBX. Look where it is, where the model is that you are going to need. For me, it is the light armored car 1. There you go. Now that we have this, we're actually gonna get started on prepping the car for the illumination system. So the first thing we are going to do is actually click on the mesh, and we're going to press tab to go into edit mode, or press the top here and go into edit mode. And we're gonna go to the third option right here on the top left, which is actually select mode. This will select vertices instead of the single polys. So go into the face select, I'm sorry, it's called face select. And now we're going to see what we need. So the first thing we are going to do is actually, I'm quickly going to double check everything in this project, as you should with your as well. And what we're going to do is just see what is what. So as you can see, the headlights, they have this border around them. So we only want the inside part. So go back into Blender. And as you can see on the mesh, you have the outside part and then the inside. We're just gonna select the inside like so for both of them. Oh, by the way, if you don't know, if you hold shift and click, you will actually select multiple faces like so. Next thing we're going to do, in the bottom right here, you can see material. We have currently 2 materials in here, one for the vehicle itself and one for glass. Yours might be different depending on what vehicle you're using. And all we want to do is just click on the little plus icon here and create a new material. Down here it says new. We just want to create a new material, and we're going to call it M_headlights. After that, all you want to do is click on the assign button right here, and now it is assigned to that mesh. You can test this out to make sure that everything is properly. I'm gonna give it like a random color, let's say like red. And if you then go into the, I think it's, in the shading, I'm sorry. In the shading tab, as you can see, now the headlights have a different color than the rest of the car, meaning that it did work. Okay. So the next thing, we'll continue with the front and then move our way to the back. So if you go back right now, you can see the next thing we need is the blinkers, right? So go back into Blender, and for this, we are going to do it slightly different. If you go back into edit mode by pressing tab, or in the top right, going to edit mode, you want to select the blinker like so. And also on this side, there is also a blinker. Like I said, every car is going to be different, but as you can see on this side, there is also a little blinker on the inside. So go back into Blender and select this one. I'm gonna go through this a little bit fast because everything is going to be the same after this. So we're just gonna be selecting the faces for the blinkers. Like so. And that is the front. But we do want to have both of the areas to be the same. Oh, if you don't know how to rotate like this, you just hold the middle mouse button. I know some people might be completely new to Blender, some people might not. So if you already know all of this, I'm sorry, I'm trying to explain this best as I can to like new people. So after you have the front selected, we're gonna go to the back because we also want the back blinker to be in the same material. So in the back, just select the blinker. There you go. And now also we want to check the back here because one of these is also a blinker. So look in the back, and it is the middle one. So go back here. The middle one, select that, select the top, and select the bottom, like so. All right, now that we have that, we do want to have one side is one material, the other one is the other one. So you have blinkers on the right and blinkers on the left. Once you have that, you just want to go back here, make a new material, click on new, call it M/_blinker. I'm gonna say right, and assign to it. Now we want to do the same thing for the left side. I'm gonna go faster on this one, but the principle is completely the same. So alright guys, now that we have that, we're just gonna be doing the same thing and creating a new material. And we're gonna call this M blinker left and assign to it. There we go. Now the final thing we're gonna do is the taillights and the reverse. So if you look, the taillights are the top parts, and then the bottom ones, they have a little bit of an indent. So go back in the blender. Now we see it's gonna be this one and the bottom one as well. So just select all of them, and this one can be all together because they don't have to animate independently. So we're just going to be selecting all of them and then make one material for it. So give me 1 second while I work on this. There you go. And now we are going to once again make a new material, click on new, call it M/. I'm just gonna call it brake lights, but you can call it whatever you want. Once again, there you go. And if we now go into the shading tab, as you can see, the blinkers will have the materials for it. They will have a different color, meaning that we successfully changed them to a new material. Okay. All we now want to do is we are actually done in Blender. If you press tab, you go back into object mode, click on the car, and what we want to do is export the vehicle. We're going to go into File, Export, FBX, click on wherever you want to put it. I'm just going to say, I'm going to override the other one, so click on the car. And we want to select armature and mesh. Now, why do we want to have armature and mesh in Blender? Armature basically means that it will get exported with a skeleton. If you don't have this, you will have a static mesh, meaning a mesh without a skeleton, and this just won't work. You cannot make the chaos vehicle system with a static mesh. You can if you do it modularly, like separating the wheels and separating the body. That is possible, but for this tutorial and just in general, I would recommend making a rig, making a skeletal mesh. If you don't know how to do that, I can do a tutorial on it. Just let me know in the comments down below. But yeah, let's continue. After this, for the transform, everything can stay the same. For geometry, it really depends on what vehicle you have. If you have a high poly one, it might require some different settings. So do your own research on depending on which one you have. But because this is low poly, we don't really need to smooth anything. And now for the armature, the one thing I am going to do is actually not get leaf bones. This will basically add extra bones to the skeleton where needed, but we don't need that. So double click on the car, everything is fine, and export FBX like so. And we can actually close Blender. I'm not gonna save this because I'm actually gonna keep it open for a second. All right, now that we are back into our skeletal mesh right here, what we're going to do on the top here, it says re-import base mesh. If you click on the little drop down here, re-import base mesh with a new file. Click on that, select the vehicle that you just exported from Blender. And it's going to say that there are new materials for it. Just say reset to FBX, fail to merge bones, that is fine. Yes, again. There you go. Now the materials will look a little funky as of right now, but that will go away once you save that. A little bit of shading issues, but once again, that basically goes away once we start applying all the materials to it. The one thing you are going to notice, and I'm going to show you that, if we go in game, as you can see, the car will be broken. Nothing works, nothing is simulated, and that is because the physics asset is no longer attached to it. To fix that, all you have to do is basically just go into the vehicle again, and on the right here it says animation, physics asset. click on that, and it will give you this error. All you want to do is say okay, and now all the collisions are gone except the wheels. But we don't need that because we also want to have collision on the body. So what you can do is actually click on this one, shift select the bottom one, delete all of them, and then you can say plus, and then what you want, actually no, you don't want to do that, I'm sorry. What you want to do in the bottom right, you actually want to go here where it says primitive type and select the single convex hull, and then in the bottom here it says regenerate all bodies, and just give it a second. There you go. Now it will have generated some stuff that we don't want. So for example, this plug, I'm not going to use that, so we can get rid of that. The glass also doesn't need to be simulated. Get rid of that. And the steering wheel also does not need to be simulated. We just have the body and the vehicle and the wheels. For the wheels, just click on all of them by shift selecting them. Go in the bottom here and then say regenerate them as spheres, regenerate the bodies, and there you go. You can make this more advanced. You can, for example, say that you want to have a multi-convex hull to make it more accurate, like so. I'm not going to do that because I don't really need that. It doesn't need to be hyper realistic, and it's simulating anyway. So once that is done, just close this down. And now if we go into the game, as you can see, the car will be working as intended again. And everything is fine. Okay. Now, we want to get started on the material. Go into the core folder or wherever you want to put it. Right click, and we're going to start with a material, like so. We're going to call this M for material underscore. And we're going to start with the, let's say, the brake lights. So brake lights. Like so. Click on that. And what you want to do now is actually open this up and click on this. Now for the material domain, this is actually going to stay surface. For the blend mode, we do want to set it to translucent. Why? I will show you that in a minute once we get started. It's easier to explain it if it's already in there. But what we are actually going to do, if you hold 3 and click, you'll get a 3 vector. That is basically the color that you want to have. So for this one, let's make it like a nice red-ish, like so. And we are going to apply save for now. And now what we want to do, if we drag this in, you can see that it will already be working. Now, depending on a variable that we will be setting up, this will be either emissive or it will go back to the default value, which the default material is actually the polygon military vehicles in this case, or just take the one that you have. So I'm just gonna go in here, I'm gonna copy this, and I'm actually gonna paste this. And now if I put it right here and I apply, and we go into the armored car, and we go to the brake lights right here, and we apply this. As you can see, it will be the default lights like it was. But we don't want to have that. We want to have this if the car is turned off, right? So what we are actually going to do is create a material that is going to change depending on a variable that we are going to be setting up. So what you want to do is actually from this, we want to lerp this value. And if you don't know what a lerp is, it basically just goes between A and B depending on the alpha value, like so. And we want to put that in the base color. And now if it's 0.5, it will actually just be a blend of both of them. If I set it to 1, it will be the default color. To make it easier for us, we're actually going to be switching them around. That will make a little bit more sense later down the line. So just do that. And now if I set this to 1, meaning that the vehicle will be on, or the brake lights will be activated, you will see that it actually, it's hard to tell, but if I change this to like a green, let's say, and we actually look, this alpha value, default value is 1. Why is this not working? Do we have to... Oh, we actually have the vehicle in here, which we don't want. We want to have the M brake lights. Okay. There you go. There you are. So now they are green, right? But if we turn the alpha down to 0, they will go back into the original material. Okay, good. Now, what we want to do from this is actually, if you hold 1 and click, you'll get a constant variable. And we want to right-click, convert to parameter. And we're going to call this parameter the blinker not blinker, I'm sorry. The brake intensity. Okay. Now, we are going to put this into the alpha of the lerp, so we have a variable that we can adjust later down the line if necessary. Click on the color. I'm gonna put it back on like a reddish, like so. And now if we, for example, set this default value to 1, once again, it will get the red color. And now to make it shine more, or how do I need to explain this? To make them actually look like they are working. In the emissive color, we're actually also going to do a lerp. Okay, another lerp. And this is actually also going to be the braking intensity for the alpha. And the value is going to be, if it is 0, then we want to have 0 on the intensity. Okay. Now, if it is 1, we actually want this to be a fairly high number. So I'm gonna say 35. And as you can see now, it's glowing. If I go into the game, into this mesh now, you will see that it is glowing. It actually looks like they are braking, but the color is wrong. Why is the color wrong? Because this value, the emissive color, actually needs to be this color, right, multiplied by the number that you want, so 35. As you can see right now, if we save this now, you will have your red color and they will be emissive, like a taillight would. Okay, that's basically pretty much everything. You can play around. If you have like glass, for example, if we change this texture to be like glass, I don't know if we have it. No, we don't have that. But if you, for example, want to have that is just glass, or glass on top of this, what you could also do, or to give it like a glassy effect, you could make another material over it and have the glass there. I'm not going to do that in this tutorial, but you can definitely find tutorials on how to do that. Okay, so this will be the braking material. So right here, I'll put comments right here. So the multiply is to set the intensity. And this lerp will be from 0 intensity to 35 intensity on the light. And then this will be just if 0, use default material. Okay, now that we have that done, I'm gonna set the default value back to 0 because we know it works now. And there you go. So the brake lights material is done. Now for the blinkers, they're gonna be pretty similar. They're actually going to be similar. The only thing that has to be different is the intent, like this name. So what we're actually going to do is go back into the brake lights. We're gonna right click and duplicate them, and we're gonna call this M blinker left for the blinker on the left side. For the color, we're actually going to make it like an orange, like so. And this name we're gonna change to blinker left intensity. like so. Save that. Always make sure you save so you don't lose anything. And I'm going to click on the color, and I'm actually going to copy this hex code. If you don't know, you can copy this code, or you can hold this, like left mouse button, hold it and drag it here to save the color. So after that, we are actually just going to close it again and duplicate this one again. Call it M blinker right. Okay. And right here, what we are going to do is actually change this to be blinker right. And I just noticed we didn't really have to copy the code because we just duplicated it. That's my fault. But if you set the one, as you can see, it still works perfectly fine. And now the last thing we want for this vehicle is headlights. So we're going to duplicate this one again. Call it M headlights, like so. Open this up, and this one will be like an whitish yellowish color, something like that. Let's set it to 1 and check out how it looks. That is fine for me. And we're gonna just be naming this the headlight intensity. There you go. Okay. After everything like that is done, go back into the skeletal mesh, and we're going to be assigning these blinker materials to it. So for the M blinker left, you can just copy the name because we keep the naming convention the same. So M blinker left. For this one, it is M blinker right. And then for this one, it is the headlights. So M headlights. There you go. And there it is. Now, if we set all of them to have a default value of 1, so blinker left, blinker right, and the headlights and the brake lights, now all of the lights will be working on the vehicle. So if we save everything and we go into the skeletal mesh, and there you go, you have your lights on a car already. Now, if I put this into the game, it looks pretty nice, right? But if I now make it dark in here, so let's just make it dark, like so. We'll say like 0.1, so we see a little bit. And we press play. As you can see, the lights are there, but they're not actually illuminating anything. They're just like just lights, like an emissive color, but they're not actually shining a light. That is what we're actually going to be doing in the next part. In the next part, we're going to be working on setting up the fog light, like actually the spotlights and the point lights, in order to make everything shine bright. And yeah, if you guys enjoyed this video, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. This will be a quick series. I will be posting multiple videos a week. Hopefully we can get this done in like 2 or 3 parts. But this was episode 1. If you guys enjoyed it, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video.